What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. How did the Sixers lose to the Wizards? Not a rhetorical question. I'll give you a moment right now, especially for the people on the podcast, if you're driving around, to really think how the hell the 76ers lost to the Wizards, especially in a game where Joel Embiid had 48 points. What the hell? You're down 16 points at one point in the game. You fight back in the fourth quarter. And I'll be honest with you. When they were fighting back, it was like a quiet fight back. They're like, oh, damn, they're only down 5. Oh, damn, they're only down 4. Oh, damn, they're only down 2 in the fourth quarter. I'm glad they got all that being crappy at basketball out of their system for the first 3 quarters of the game. And now you're going to get serious against an inferior opponent. And they didn't get as serious as I would have liked, I guess, because the Sixers took an L to the Wizards 116-111 last night. As I mentioned, Joel Embiid had 48 points in the game. Oh. Sixers, though, as a team, only shot 19% from beyond the arc. Not really a bragging point. Usually they're a little bit better than that. Not last night, unfortunately. Kristaps Porzingis came in, hit some threes late in that game to help really separate the Wizards for good against the Sixers. But the one play in particular that is rattling around in my brain from last night's game, it was like nobody wanted to make a play. And in the very late goings of that game last night, there was about 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter. On this possession, Joel Embiid touched the ball. Tobias Harris touched the ball. James Harden touched the ball. Hell, George Niang even touched the ball. And nobody wanted to take the shot. Joel Embiid, when he got the ball in his hands, was open from beyond the arc. I wouldn't mind if you let it rip from there. Someone's got to shoot the basketball. And instead, dribble, drive, into the lane, missed layup. I still have no idea what the hell happened on that sequence with about 20 seconds left in the game. It was like everyone just shriveled up in that moment. It was like, I think we've done enough. We've shown we're not going to win this game, and we're done here. I think we're done. Let's get out of here. We're on to getting Tyrese Maxey back in New Orleans on Friday. That's what we're on to right now. And you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Tyrese Maxey being back in the lineup because, you can always use his scoring. And maybe on a night where you weren't really getting it done early in the basketball game, maybe Tyrese Maxey is the guy that really gets things going for this team. But unfortunately, that wasn't going to be the case. It was a 3-point game at that point in the game where it seemed like everybody touched it. Nobody wanted the final shot. Not the final shot, but at least the shot of that sequence as the shot clock was ticking down. And it was befuddling is the only word that comes to mind watching that sequence play out. I was amazed by what you were able to see from Joel Embiid. A lot of the stuff you see from James Harden in that particular game was a lot of the stuff you've seen recently. His assist numbers were good again last night. Really, the Sixers were moving the ball well. Just absolutely killed from beyond the arc in last night's ball game. Harden finished with 13 assists, 26 points. Embiid, another double-double, 48 points, 10 rebounds in the game. Not a lot of help off the bench. Montrezl Harrell was your key contributor with 9 points off the bench. It was, I don't know if it was Doc Rivers, and we could look at lack of motivation. I don't know if it was just a team that was tired after winning 8 games in a row, couldn't bring it to 9. I don't know what it was. But for whatever reason, despite your big guns having it last night from at least a stat sheet perspective, it seemed like nobody else was really there for the team. And whatever the hell happened last night, look, they needed a George Niang to get hot last night. They needed a DeAnthony Melton to get hot again last night. That just didn't look like it was going to happen. And wherever they were looking for that other guy to contribute, it didn't happen last night. A guy I've been having a lot of praise for recently for being a very versatile 3-and-D. Usually when we talk about 3-and-D guys, that's the only thing they do. Those are the two skill sets. Go out there and play. Tobias Harris, I think, has emerged into a very versatile 3-and-D type player for the Sixers, and I think he can continue that when they do get Tyrese Maxey back in the lineup on Friday. And that's what I've been saying this entire time. Last night, 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. No 3. Just the D. Not a lot of 3 from Tobias Harris, unfortunately. So the Sixers have to take that loss in last night's basketball game, and it was a tough one to watch because you did see them fight back in that fourth quarter, and then they just went silent for about the final 3 minutes of that game, and it was tough to watch down there towards down the stretch. We had been talking a lot about, by the way, John McMullen will join us from Jacob Media and SportsIllustrated.com. He'll be joining us a little bit later in the program to give his perspective on the Eagles and their injury report and all that crazy stuff. But one of the things that Jonathan Gannon got into in his press conference was that 3rd and 30 against the Dallas Cowboys, as you would assume. It was the first question. What happened on the 3rd and 30? I did speak to a former cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday, off the record. And I said I wouldn't use his name, but I just said, am I crazy? Am I crazy here? But here's what I think happened, and I told you guys yesterday. Josiah Scott blew his coverage. He blew his assignment on that play. So I just said, am I nuts? Did he blow his assignment, or was it really that terrible of a call from Jonathan Gannon? And here's what I got. Here's what I got. It's just funny reading this. That was blown by Scott. That was the text message I got back in return. They were in 3 deep coverage, quarterbacks in a cloud. So imagine Slay in the flat, Bradbury in the flat, with Reed deep middle, Epps deep outside on one side, Scott deep on the other side. Scott was showing man over the slot, didn't get back to his deep position. Also, Slay was sitting expecting Scott to be over the top. Just complete blown coverage by Scott. It's 3rd and 30. Dak is an experienced quarterback. You're not fooling him. And then crying, laughing emojis. But I just love how it said, that was blown by Scott. Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. And when I told him, when I watched the All-22, as I told you guys yesterday, you see Scott spin around like a top to try to get back in time, and it just didn't happen. And then you just see Slay looking at Scott like, thanks for nothing. It's like that. What is the popular the thing now on TikTok, the Nathan for you? This is an old thing, but it's Nathan for you. It's like, I hope you're ready for nothing. And that's pretty much what Slay got on that. And he stares at Scott like, you're late. You're late. You're very late. So the text message goes on. And I said, yeah, I watched the All-22. Scott spun like a top, blah, blah, blah. But thanks, I appreciate it. And he said, no problem. I was losing my bleep watching it live. Could you imagine being a former player watching something like that? Like, just whatever you do for a living. Whatever you do for a living. Imagine watching somebody else come in with not nearly as much experience and just blowing it. Just being terrible. And you're sitting there like, or better yet, you got to work with that person that's new on the site. You know, like, it's not that hard. It's not that you're supposed to be. It's a 3rd and 30, dude. Just be deep. Be deep. Why are you going over that way when that's not your responsibility? Be over here. Anyway, Jonathan Gannon was asked that right out of the gate yesterday, and here's what he had to say about it.
What was the call? What was the breakdown there?
Yeah, it's me. I got to do a better job of coaching what I want out of that call. I'm not going to get into specifics of the call, but I like the call. But I just looking back at it, it's I got to do a better job of putting our guys in position to make that play and get off the field, because you can't give up a 3rd and 30. That that was a play in that game that I felt like was a little bit of a tipping point when we let them convert and then they scored that drive that hurts the ball club. So got to do a better job myself.
Here's what I agree with. 3rd and 30. Yes, you cannot give that up. Me and all the rest of Philadelphia, we concur. You cannot give up a 3rd and 30. But here's the other thing. I know that it drives a lot of people crazy when a player isn't dimed out. But I think we all realize that a coach is going to be like, oh, Josiah Scott, what an idiot. He didn't even make it back in time for his assignment. Like, no one's going to say that, right? I give coaches a lot of credit because it's got to be really difficult to be a head coach. And aside from the actual really difficult things like never sleeping, not really get to enjoy a lot of time with the family, living at the facility, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, right? Like, that's got to be difficult. And I know no one's feeling sorry for him because they get paid. I get it. But taking it on the chin every single week when somebody blows an assignment, when you made a good call, and if the player executes, and this isn't a difficult thing. This is just remembering to be the deepest man over the top to help out your corner. This isn't a difficult thing. You got to say, I got to do a better job. There are not many people in any line of work that are willing to take blame in order to save somebody else's hide. And that's what a lot of coaches, that's what a lot of coordinators in this instance do. Andy Reid did it all the damn time, which is why if you remember that playoff game against the Packers, and Andy Reid came out after what did David Akers miss? Like 3 field goals in that game, 2 field goals in that game. It was something crazy for David Akers. And after the game, he said, we could all count. Like, that's the closest he's ever been to throwing somebody under the bus. Like, usually he'll say something like it was difficult conditions. It would be something to save the players' hide, right? But coaches do it all the time where they say, yeah, it's on me. I got to do better. And there's something to be said for that. And I think Jonathan Gannon really taking it on the chin yesterday and just be like, yeah, I got to get a better call in there. I got to say, I got to coach it better. If it basically comes down to the art of war. And not to be too philosophical, but if you know anything about that book, The Art of War, one of the things that is explained very well by Sun Tzu in that book is that if the student fails and the teacher hasn't been clear, then the blame falls on the teacher. But if the student fails and the message has been clear, then it's the student's fault. In this case, I do believe it's Josiah Scott's fault. But the teacher can always look at themselves and said, maybe I should have explained it with a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe I should have explained it by having, other veterans come in and tell you how to play this. Maybe I should have just taken you aside for one-on-one teaching moments. He'd be the deepest man in the field over the top for Darius Slay. Maybe that's what it comes down to. But I didn't have a problem with the call. Maybe you could have simplified it, but it seemed like a pretty easy responsibility, especially, and here's what really gets me. It's not just how Slay looked at Scott after the play. It's not just the fact that Scott was late to that party. It's the fact that you saw Darius Slay trotting down the sideline with T.Y. Hilton as if to say, yeah, go ahead, go deep. If Dak underthrows this ball, it's mine because I'm not supposed to be the deepest man on the field at this point. You don't see him running with T.Y. Hilton. You see him like galloping down the sideline, like side shuffling down the sideline with him. And you know why he's doing that? Because Josiah Scott's supposed to be over there. So I give a lot of credit to Jonathan Gannon. One of the other things that I found interesting in the press conference yesterday was the effect of Avonte Maddox not being on the field. Now, we might think about the talent not being there, having his talent on the field with the game that he had been having. It almost had that sacking force on Dak Prescott that he was able to wiggle his way out of and get the first down, and that was obviously a killer in that moment. But it's not just the fact that you don't have his talent, you don't have his experience, you don't have his knowledge. So whoever's coming in, like Josiah Scott in this instance, isn't as familiar with what he should be doing. Gannon pointing that out, I thought was interesting yesterday. And here's what he said when he was asked about maybe changing play calls without Avonte Maddox in there.
It affects everybody that's up because they all got to know it. So I think that, everybody that's out there playing has to know what we want out of every call. So that ultimately falls on me.
Again, he's taking the punches. He's taking the punches. And I guess Josiah Scott didn't know what his assignment was on that play. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting room to see how that is going to get corrected. The other thing is when you are out there on the field, and if you're James Bradbury, or in this case, if you're Darius Slay, and you know that Josiah Scott is going to supposedly be your deepest man there, I don't know if he's saying Darius Slay should have tried to make up for that and not take for granted that you're going to have anybody over the top. I think that's asking a lot. If you're asking a player to do one specific thing, which is be between the man and the quarterback, so that if there is an underthrown ball, you have it bracketed essentially, not in the football usage, but basically you have a man over the top and you have a man under, then you're covering all your bases there. So I don't know if he's saying Darius Slay should have stepped up and made a play on that particular ball, or if he is saying that just simply Josiah Scott needs to have his head on his shoulders while that play is being called. whatever it might be. John McMullen has his own take on it. We'll talk to him coming up in a minute. But for me, I don't look at Jonathan Gannon and say, you idiot. I say, Josiah, like, it's the simplest thing. Like, you shouldn't need your coach to save your ass in this particular instance. This should be a very basic thing that we're like 3rd and 30. Get off the field, man. Get off the field. And of course, the Cowboys were later able to go down there and score with CeeDee Lamb, and they tied the game at 34-all. Then he gave the ball back to him again. 2 more turnovers after that. Minshew's second interception, Sanders fumble. Pots and pans. I heard Shane Steichen talking. The injuries. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to play in this game. I think he is going to be the nickel corner for the Eagles in this game, and I think Reed Blankenship is going to be your safety in this game. I mentioned yesterday the motivation that's there for CD Deuce to play against the team that traded him, but I also think the Eagles need him. And I don't think it's going to be an issue of rushing him back or anything. I think they're going to activate him. I think he's going to be practicing today. Today's a very important day, the Wednesday practice, to see who's up, who's activated, because if he's activated today, he's going to be playing on Sunday. I think he gets activated today. I am rooting hard also that he gets activated today, of course, and I think the Eagles' defense will be all the better for having him out there, and I think that goes without saying. It will be an interesting thing where you're going to be shuffling positions a little bit, because Reed Blankenship has only played the safety position. He hasn't played the slot corner position here for the Eagles. CD Deuce has played that when he was a member of the Saints. The Eagles only reprised his role as college safety, as the safety position here in Philadelphia this season, because that's what they needed, and he went and he played that role very well. I think he can do the same thing against the Saints. I think he can pick up from where he left off, and I think he has 2 other corners to rely on in Darius Slay, as well as James Bradbury, to make it a little bit easier for him to cover in the slot. Also, the Saints are not that good. So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that if CD Deuce does play in this game, he'll do fine playing a position he really hasn't played much since he came here to Philadelphia. And, oh, by the way, leads the league in interceptions as a safety. So that's good. Plus, having him a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage isn't the worst thing in the world, considering how he can get into the backfield and make some plays for this team. So, yeah, I don't mind it. And I think he'll adapt to that role very well. They were essentially using him as a safety slot corner anyway, while he was healthy, with how often he was close to the line of scrimmage. I don't mind it even a little bit, so have him go down there and have him take care of business. And I think if they activate him today, if they open up that window, I think without question, I think you're going to see him on Sunday. You don't see him today. You don't see him as any type of participant in practice, then you're going to have more concern. But we're going to have that answer emphatically today as to whether or not they're going to play. We'll also have the answer today about who's going to be replacing Lane Johnson. And really what I should say is how the Eagles will be replacing Lane Johnson. I think they're going to replace Lane Johnson by moving Jack Driscoll, or really just having Jack Driscoll take over the right guard or right tackle responsibilities. I don't think it's going to be a matter of Andre Dillard going into left tackle, Jordan Mailata shifting over to right tackle, and then they try to really weaken 2 positions, as I've been saying. I don't think that's the way they handle this. I think what they end up doing is just Jack Driscoll goes in there as your right tackle, and I think he plays serviceable. I'm not going to say that he is going to be phenomenal. I'm certainly not saying he's going to be Lane Johnson. I don't think this is the beginning of a long career for Jack Driscoll at the right tackle position for the Eagles. I think Lane Johnson still has a lot to say about what he's going to do with the rest of his time in the NFL. But I think he plays serviceable. I think Jalen Hurts plays in this game, and I think the Eagles get after it against the Saints and wrap up home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Eagles are looking at this without question, I think. I think the Eagles are looking at this like they don't need Jalen Hurts to play to beat the Saints. If Jalen Hurts is healthy enough to play in this game, I am not exercising any caution for any reason and keeping him out of this game. I would like to get to as close to knowing the Eagles are going to be the Saints before kickoff as humanly possible. A 6.5-point line is nice. I like that. However, I would like Jalen Hurts healthy and playing in this game. As we discussed yesterday, with Lane Johnson not being there and Jack Driscoll most likely be your starting right tackle, that gives me no pause, no concern, and no, oh my goodness, no desire to have Jalen Hurts out because your offensive line isn't going to be 100%. I'm having Jalen Hurts play, and I'm having the Eagles wrap up home field advantage as soon as humanly possible. And I hope most people are with me on that. Hold on, just looking at the chat check here. I'm going to do the full segment in 1 second. But I just want to say, Professor Dutch, who is in our chat right now, he was kind enough to hit me, as many of you were, kind enough to hit me up over the holiday and wish me Merry Christmas and all that stuff. And Professor Dutch, thank you. Same to you and everybody. But this is interesting. I was literally just telling, I was reading the comments. I was sitting on the sofa next to my wife, and I just started laughing, Professor Dutch, because Professor Dutch said, basically, hey, Farzy, Merry Christmas. I'm one of the, for the people on the podcast. And I started laughing because he said, I'm one of the people on the podcast. Enjoy the show. Thanks for the content, whatever. And I very much appreciate that. I was literally laughing out loud at that. And then I see you right here, Professor Dutch, so I can tell you that real quick before I get to John McMullen. But before I do all that, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the great people at Steven Singer and Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. They offer the perfect price each and every day. The perfect price each and every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Now, what's the perfect price? While other jewelers are marking things way up, Steven Singer doesn't do that. He marks it at the perfect price. So you don't feel like you have to go in there and negotiate, haggle, or mention some promo code, or, hey, did I get the sale? No. The sale was last week. No. Perfect prices every day at Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Roth and Orthopedics guest line and talk to our friend John McMullen about all things birds. Joining us right now on the Roth and Orthopedics guest line from Jacob Media, from SI.com, from Philly Voice, from just about everything, and of course, Birds 365 with my friend Jody McDonald on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. John McMullen joins us. What's up there, Johnny Mac?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Great to catch up with you again. I know we get to do the hit at least during the Jacob Media pregame show. I know we get to talk during the halftime, and halftime was looking good. Last you and I spoke, the Eagles had a 3-point lead, and then the dreadful 3rd and 30 took place. We heard from Jonathan. 3rd and 30. Jeez. What I listened to Jonathan Gannon yesterday. I know you were at the press conference and you were asking questions as well. From your interpretation, watching it, what do you think happened on that play?
Miscommunication, and you can look at it all around this league, Mark. So many teams play the Vic Fangio-inspired defense in this league now. It's like 12 or a lot of teams, and you see it all over the NFL. When you have these miscommunications on the back end, because the Eagles might be in quarters coverage, they might be in cover 2, cover 3, cover 6, cover 8. A lot of this zone coverage, but all kinds of different zone coverage. And when it busts and when guys aren't communicating, it looks terrible. And generally, the Eagles have been better than just about anybody who runs this defense doing it. And that's a testament to guys like Slay and Bradbury and Avonte Maddox and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he was healthy, even Marcus Epps, who's a very savvy player. But when it blows, and they blew the coverage, and it's, I wasn't at the game, first game in 3 years I've missed, so I hope everybody had a happy holiday. But on television, it looked like Slay. But then when you get to watch the All-22, it was Josiah Scott. It was pretty clear. Might have been cover 6, might have been cover 3. The Eagles are never going to tell you that. But it was pretty clear he had the deep end of he was the guy that was supposed to be over the top. And for whatever the reason, he started looking inside, looking at Dak Prescott. And all of a sudden, T.Y. Hilton runs by people. And Slay's looking like, what are you doing, dude? Mm-hmm. So everything in this defense is about miscommunication when you see bust. And that's what happened. And it happened multiple times in that game. They've been good at it for the majority of the year. So you hope it's self-correcting.
Mm-hmm. So when you watch that play, do you go play call or do you go mental mistake by the I guess, replacement there for Avonte Maddox, Josiah Scott in that spot.
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? Because it's, you should know as the defensive coordinator, all right, I don't have Avonte Maddox, so maybe I simplify things a little bit. Maybe I just play cover 2. It's 3rd and 30.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have all these bells and whistles where people are saying, well, is that cover 3? Is that cover 6? Is it, over the top on one side? Is it man zone on the other side? Are they trying to match up? Cover 2. It's 3rd and 30. Jim Schwartz it. Pickett Fence. Sticks. Maybe a little bit too complicated. But while I say that, lack of execution as well, which is, the player should still be savvy enough to say, hey, it's 3rd and 30. I better get over the top.
Mm-hmm. So looking at it now with Avonte Maddox being out, is life as simple now defensively as, get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back there and have him play slot and then have Reed Blankenship play the safety spot and you're all covered. Can life be that simple if CD Deuce is out there playing on Sunday against the Saints?
Well, it would help, but Wednesday today is going to be a big day. If the Eagles start his practice window, that's a good sign. If they don't, it's not a good sign. Mm-hmm. And Nick Sirianni kind of talked about that Monday. I'm trying to get my days right.
Yeah.
Lacerated kidney is a little bit different, high ankle sprain. We know. All right. Is it, lower ankle, higher ankle, 2, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Lacerated kidney. People can go back to Zach Ertz and say, well, Zach missed a week and played in the postseason, but there's different grades. There's different levels. And CJ's already been out 4 weeks. He didn't sound too confident when he was talking about it on Monday. So I think today's going to be a big day. If the Eagles start his practice window, really good sign. If they don't, really bad sign.
I guess there'd be another sign there as well for who's going to line up at the right tackle position. Let me ask you, what is your prediction? And then let me also ask you what you would do in that situation if, the dean of Statland University was tapping John McMullen on the shoulder and saying, hey, what should I do with the right tackle spot? What would you do? And what do you think the Eagles will end up doing?
I think Jack Driscoll will be the right tackle, and I think that's what they should do. Jack's a pretty good player, right? I mean, he's a good backup. He's not Lane Johnson, but nobody's Lane Johnson. You can move Jordan Mailata to right tackle. He's not Lane Johnson. Then you back 2 positions. Andre Dillard's got to come in. He's not Jordan Mailata at left tackle. We know that. Those 2 had a competition, the better players playing. You could also have Andre Dillard play right tackle. A lot of people forget, early in his career, he couldn't change positions. He couldn't do anything else. He's been playing left guard, so maybe they'll throw him in the mix and say, all right, he's gotten far enough along in his career where he can be a little bit more versatile. But Jack Driscoll's played right tackle. That's his natural position. He's been competent at it. And I think short term, the Eagles, you kind of have to peel the onion back, Mark, when they talk about injuries. Like Nick will always say, no timetables, no timetables. Well, he said we're hopeful to get Lane Johnson back for the playoffs. If that's the case, and I think we all know Lane is going to try to play through this, 2 games, Jack Driscoll, go back to Lane Johnson. Question to me is, can he play through this injury? Is it a sports hernia? I'm starting to think that. So, and that's just speculation. But he hurt his abdomen against the Giants. People kind of forget that. And then all of a sudden it's hurt again. That scares me a little bit. But with Avonte, they said indefinitely. So that to me is more serious. I don't expect to see him, certainly in that first game of the playoffs. Lane's going to try to play through it. I don't know if he can play through it, but he's going to try. So to me, it's pretty easy. Jack Driscoll, get to the playoffs, Lane Johnson.
Why do you think it is that the Eagles have struggled so much in games where they haven't had Lane Johnson since 2016, more specifically, when you talk about the fact that he missed 10 games that season with the PEDs and then everything went to hell that season? The Eagles win a Super Bowl when a Hall of Famer like Jason Peters goes down and Vaitai steps in to play left tackle. But, man, if Lane Johnson can't play, it seems like this line is shot. Why do you think that is?
I don't think it's shot. Well, number one, he's really good. Number one. I mean, he's riding a record of snaps since they've been charting these things. Most snaps ever without giving up a sack. He's given up one quarterback hit in basically 2 years. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. So it starts with, as Nick Sirianni says, he's the best right tackle in the world. You know, hyperbole because the world doesn't play football, but you know what he's saying.
Sure.
He's the best right tackle. So even when you have good backups, like Jack Driscoll is, well, there's a big difference between all pro and good backup. Mm-hmm. So you have a significant step down from talent, just from a talent perspective. Now, I think they're 12-20 without Lane. I think the numbers are. Now, I don't believe in wins and loss as a statistic for a quarterback. So I'm not going to sit there and say it's a good statistic for right tackle. But what I think is relevant, and I think it's fair to point out that the Eagles tend to be really good when he's on the field, not as good when he's off the field. So it's a concern.
Mm-hmm. Without Lane Johnson being out there, then, John, what's your confidence that Jalen Hurts would play? And should the Eagles play him if their offensive line is 100%?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting curveball.
Yeah.
To me, if it's 100%, if Jalen's cleared, yeah, he plays. I mean, he's got to play in the playoffs. He's played in the past with, Lane has had to leave with Jack Driscoll. If he's 100%, if there's a gray area, and it's like, we're pushing it, but we need this game. Then I'm like, I'm not messing with my quarterback, not at 100% with no Lane Johnson. And look, the Eagles won't admit this, but I'll say it for them. They think they can beat the Saints with Gardner Minshew. So, and they should beat the Saints with Gardner Minshew. So they'll say that doesn't play into it, but it plays into it.
What's your gut telling you as far as Jalen Hurts playing on Sunday? Do you think he does play?
I think he doesn't. But, he's got an SC joint sprain. So there's grades. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. If he's got a grade 1, yeah, he's probably going to play. If it's grade 2, which I think it is from their description, because what I was told is he needs rest and rehab, and he's got to strengthen the shoulder. And if you read sort of the medical documentation, that sounds like grade 2. If it's grade 2, I don't think he's playing. And that's what I think he has. Grade 3 would be surgery. Obviously, he doesn't have the most serious, but I think he has grade 2. And if he has grade 2, I don't think they're going to play him.
All right. So if Gardner Johnson is playing, you said that they should be able to beat the Saints without him. The Eagles think they don't need Jalen Hurts to beat the Saints and they could win with Gardner Minshew. Do you think they will win if Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, they should have won the Cowboys game if they didn't turn the stinking football over. And, I was talking to one of the offensive coaches today, and he said, all right, turn it over once, twice, okay, 4 times. I mean, Mark, this team is 13-0 when they don't turn it over 4 times. If you just turn it over once or twice, they win that game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They think they beat themselves. And some people might say that's an excuse, blah, blah, blah. It's a credible excuse, because they were right there with a -3 turnover ratio. Usually if you're -3 and you turn it over 4 times, you're getting beat by 2 touchdowns, mm-hmm. 20 points. They had the ball inside the 20 with a chance to win the game. They beat themselves with Gardner Minshew on the road.
I think the first interception was on Minshew. the first fumble they had, where I think it was a handoff read option to Boston Scott. Yeah, that was definitely the Eagles giving the ball away in those two instances. But I think the other two, I think the Cowboys made great plays. I think Lamb made a great play on the interception. And then look, Miles Sanders needs to hold on to that ball, but the ball got poked loose as well. So I do give credit for two of the turnovers.
Sure. Yeah. One was an unforced error. That was the mesh point with Gardner and Boston Scott. One was a bad fumble by Miles Sanders. The two interceptions, I'm a little bit torn on, because Quez has to understand they weren't the best throws. I'm not trying to let Gardner Minshew off the hook, but you have to help your quarterback. And if you have to turn into a defensive back, you have to turn into a defensive back. You got to fight for that football. And it's not about catching the football. I think everybody is focused on that 50-50 ball. No, just knock it down. I'm fine with an incomplete pass. Just make sure the defender doesn't catch the football. So we always talk about backup quarterbacks and people rising to the occasion to make up for the backup quarterback. Well, Quez Watkins didn't rise to the occasion. He's got to help his quarterback on both of those throws. And again, you don't have to catch it. He's just got to make sure the defender doesn't catch it. And he did a bad job. And the Eagles know it.
I agree with that. Last thing for you, John, thank you. And you're being very nice with your time here. When it comes to the outside linebacker position, less Kazir White, more Nakobe Dean, where are you at on those two?
No, Nakobe's turn will come. Kazir didn't play well in Dallas, but by and large, he's had a pretty good season. That was probably his worst game, so I get why people are asking. But that's a small sample size. Overall, this defense has been very good. They've had some hiccups. Everybody has some hiccups, except maybe San Francisco. And even San Francisco had the Kansas City game. That's just the modern NFL. Everybody gets gashed. Dallas is getting gashed every week. And they had one of the best defenses. And now they're saying, what the heck's going on? Good offense beats good defense in this league now. It used to be the opposite, except for San Francisco.
San Francisco is like they have a revolving door of quarterbacks. And it's like, doesn't matter. Then we're going to get someone to play adequately. And then the defense is just going to dominate. And that's all we're going to need.
Yeah.
It's a wild thing. John, great catching up with you as always. Thanks so much for coming on. I know I'll talk to you again on Sunday for Eagles Saints pregame, and you'll also be doing the halftime hit with Devin Caney, and of course the postgame hit as well for the Pond Hockey postgame show on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. John, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Absolutely great. John McMullen checking in from the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as SI.com. Boop, boop, boop. Welcome back from the John McMullen interview. Appreciate you guys. I am. This is really gonna haunt me. And you know what's really gonna, if the Eagles do face the Cowboys in the playoffs, which I'd be confident that the Eagles will win that game. If the Eagles do face the Cowboys in the playoffs, I think they will win. But one thing that haunts me is if they lose that game, I'm still going to go back to the 3rd and 30. Now, I'm sure that game, if the Eagles were to lose that game, that would give us a whole new list of things to worry about. But 3rd and 30 is just mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling to me. Let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy at Manscaped.com. You'll enjoy their Platinum Package 4.0, which is their best hygiene bundle yet. It includes their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all comes with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So go to manscaped.com, enter promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. And enjoy 20% off and free shipping. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Freestone Farm CBD. It's great for anyone looking to take a more natural approach to everything that they put in their body at Freestone Farms CBD. You'll enjoy their platinum. Love when I cross reads. You'll enjoy all they have to offer, like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So you'll enjoy all the Freestone Farms has to offer. FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsStation.com. Before we get to our chat check, I have to do this. Now, during the interview with John McMullen, I wanted to cue this up for you. It's after the fact, so I believe this is legal. So I'm going to do this play-by-play for you guys because it's still bothering me about the Sixers' loss to the Wizards last night. And I'll also let you hear from Doc Rivers, everyone's favorite, for what Doc had to say about this loss last night. So here's the point of the game that was really bothering me. 35 seconds left. And believe me, a lot bothered me in this game. But 35 seconds left. Sixers bring the ball up the court. Wizards are up 111 to 108. So Sixers down 3. Do the simple math for you. Sixers down 3. And 35 seconds left. James Harden has the ball at the top of the key. Give you the play-by-play right here. James Harden goes to Embiid, who goes to Tobias Harris in the corner, dribble drive penetration, dish on the baseline to George Niang, who kicks it out to Joel Embiid, who pump fakes the 3, drives the lane, gets the ball swatted out of his hands, and the Wizards steal the basketball. That was a 15-second run. A 15-second run right there in the fourth quarter from 35 seconds to 20 seconds where nobody wanted to take a shot. Even Joel Embiid drove the lane, got the ball stolen away from him. Now, you could go ahead and tip your cap to the Wizards and say, job well done, Wizards. But Tobias Harris looked like he had an opportunity. He decided to dish it down to George Niang on the baseline. George Niang, stay on the corner. And Joel Embiid, I thought, had the opportunity to catch and shoot, but instead, Kristaps Porzingis came out. And by the way, if Embiid hits that, you're talking about a tie basketball game. Sixers are down 1 point at the 3-minute mark of that game, and they managed somehow to only score 3 points for the rest of that game. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. 4 points. They had 107. Embiid at the 3-minute mark. Embiid finished off an alley-oop from James Harden, and 4 points for the rest of that game. Here's your boy Doc Rivers talking about if they would have won that game, it would have been a game they didn't deserve to win. Here's Doc after the game.
Listen, it's been great to steal the game tonight, but they deserved it so much more than us tonight. They played so much harder. Really, I just was disappointed in how we approached the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is the third game in a row you guys have fallen into a double-digit first-half deficit. Are you seeing any commonalities?
No,
in those?
That doesn't bother me because, you play good teams get up. So, it's a long game. In the other two, I thought we had the right approach. They just hit us in the mouth, and we played pretty well, and we fought. We kept fighting. Tonight, if we had came back and won it, it would have been a steal to me. It was just I didn't think we had the right approach. I thought we came into the game, and you could see it early. We thought it was going to be an offensive contest, and we were just going to outscore them. We put no defense into the game until the second half, and we had to do zone to do that. But and then, it's almost like the basketball guys down the stretch. Yeah, you don't deserve it.
So here's the other thing. One thing I didn't look at, because I assumed with them rushing and the way that they were rushing to try to make a play, the shot clock was about to tick off, right? It was about to expire. When Joel Embiid drove the lane in that final segment I was just talking about before Doc Rivers there. By the way, you know who doesn't take it on the chin for his players? Doc Rivers. Because in his press conference last night, he does mention that they were able to get good shots out of a timeout. When a coach says we were able to do something well after a timeout, that's a coach going, hey, let me pat myself on the back because I drew up something that worked. Okay. But he also says that he didn't like the approach. You heard him say it there. He didn't like the approach to last night's basketball game. He didn't like the team's approach. Other games, they had a better approach, but other teams just got up on them. That's what happens with good teams when you play them in the NBA. Okay, fine. But saying your team basically didn't want it, saying your team got outworked, which he goes on to say in his press conference last night. And yeah, again, saying that the game would have been a steal means you didn't deserve to win, but you were the by far more talented team, and you should have won the basketball game. So yeah, Doc Rivers doesn't really take it on the chin for his players in that regard. He look, it's fine. He goes with honesty. which I can't really fault him for. But if you're a player, I think you want your coach every once in a while to be like, I could have called a better play there, could have called a better play, but it doesn't. So anyway, which is why the only thing I believe from the James Harden article from Woj about not being happy with either Joel Embiid or Doc Rivers, the only thing I really believe in all that is that he doesn't want to play with Doc Rivers anymore. The only thing, or at least he's not a big fan of Doc Rivers. That's what I got out of it, which seems to be the MO for a lot of people. But when it comes to this particular play in last night's game, while the clock is ticking down, the shot clock is ticking down, Joel Embiid drives the paint, gets the ball stolen with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. 20 seconds left in the game, 6 seconds left on the shot clock. And who's wide open in the corner? Tobias Harris. The only clear-cut play on that drive. Like everything else is, yes, James Harden could have had a step-back three. Yes, George Niang could have went out with a layup. Yes, Tobias Harris could have went for the kick out to DeAnthony Melton, but he was kind of covered. Tobias Harris could have, on his dribble drive, could have went up for the layup. Joel Embiid on the kick out from George Niang could have shot the three right away as opposed to waiting for Kristaps Porzingis to come out and play him. He could have shot the three right away. Or if Joel Embiid drives the lane, which he did, he has Tobias Harris wide open in the corner and in his line of sight. It's the only clear-cut, absolute, would not have been a turnover type of play that you could have called on that possession, that Joel Embiid could have elected to do on that possession. But he decided not to. 6 seconds left in the shot clock. Your best shot, your best opportunity was kicking it out to Tobias Harris for a wide open three. He hits that, tie ball game. I mentioned earlier he was 0 for 4. But if you're a shooter, you're thinking the next one's going in. So you're always going to keep shooting. But that's the one play that I looked at the end of that game, the one sequence I looked at saying, what the hell are they doing? And then you have Tobias Harris open in the corner for a possible three there. All right, now let's get to the chat check now that we have all the information. By the way, Sixers weren't even the biggest story in the NBA last night, and neither were the Nets. That's rough. But wild thing happened in the NBA that we're going to get to in our morning rush. But let's get to the chat check, see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine, fine morning today. Kevin, good morning, Kevin. What's going on? Sean Gillespie, Professor. Welcome this morning and got myself a beer. Morning, Farzy and chat. Dallas still sucks. That a guy, Professor. Keg and eggs, baby. Oh, very nice. Don't fear, Sean Gillespie. Don't fear Dallas as before, despite the loss. I'm more scared of our defense, injuries, and numerous dumb mistakes. Sean, all valid points. All valid points. Professor Dutch. Grumble, got to do a better job, coughs, clears throat, next question. It really does put you back in the Andy Reid mindset, doesn't it, Professor Dutch? It puts you right back in the Andy Reid mindset. I got to do a better job there. I mean, every coach says it because every coach is like, this is the coach glossary. These are the words you're allowed to use, and that's it. Here, the glossary, the dictionary, the thesaurus. This is what you get as a coach. Coach speak the thesaurus. Easy for me to say. Mihai, what's up, Mihai? Good morning, Mark and everyone. I want revenge on Dallas so bad. And let's stop wasting Joel Embiid's career. 48 points, nothing. I don't care about MVPs. We want team championships. Have a great day, everybody. Mihai, that's a great mic drop right there. Here's the thing, though. Because, Mihai, you're the second person in as many weeks that went with the I don't care about championships mentality. Or excuse me, I don't care about MVPs. I only care about championships. I care a little about the MVP. Like, when I think back to 2001, for instance, I think back to Allen Iverson being the MVP. MVP of the All-Star game, don't care. MVP of the All-Star game and MVP of the league, that's cool. That's something nice to take away from it. Because when I think back on that year, and every once in a while I see people that I really hung out with during that run, because I think I told you guys a lot before. And man, in 2001, I was 17 years old, 18 years old, loving life in high school at Archbishop Wood, and every day, there was a party at somebody else's house for every game. It was like, we're going to be at Chris's house. We're going to be over at Matt's house. We're going to be over Mike's house today. Like, it was like we were all over. We were at Kyle's house today. We were all over every day. Party, pizza and wings at the house, whatever. It was amazing. It was like the best time of my like Philadelphia sports life to that point. Like 93, like I was at home, I was a kid, I was in 5th grade, it wasn't that big a deal, right? Or not that it wasn't a big deal, but in terms of party every night, it wasn't that. I had homework to do, okay? But when the Sixers were making that run in 2001, it was incredible. And one of the things, whenever I see people from that time in my life, it's like, oh man, that year we were having so much fun. AI was the MVP. Like we definitely fall back to that. And they're like, game 1 dropped 50. They won. Oh my God, you're up 1-0 on the Lakers. This is amazing. I do. It's I don't even want to call it a consolation prize, but it's just something nice to have along the way. Yeah, the MVP, the best player in the NBA that year. Like that to me is wild. So I do care a little bit about it. And yes, it would be nice if Joel Embiid won an MVP award. But yes, I would. I'm not living and dying on MVP Hill, but I think it is something nice to have along the way. I think it's nice to have along the journey, is what I'm saying. I would 1 billion times, and anyone in their right mind would rather have an NBA championship or championships. Because you want to know if the process really worked? You win as much as you lost. Like consistently being the worst team in the NBA for 3 years? Okay, be the champion for 3 years. Then I'll say it worked. If I'm going to give up 3 years, you better win 3 championships. I don't think that's happening. Right now, I'll settle for 1. Let's see here. Sean appreciates Dutch's spot on Andy Reid. Professor Dutch loves it. I've been saying 2 to 3 off seasons now that we need to spend a premium on a 1st or 2nd round defensive back for the exact reason, not Josiah Scott's fault. Really, he's cornerback 5 at best. So here's the only thing I'll say to that, Professor Dutch. It seemed like a pretty simple play. It seemed like you got to be deep man there. And it's like he forgot his assignment. I like what John said in the interview, that maybe you just keep it completely simple and just say, easiest coverage known to man. Just cover 2. Everyone handle your business. Even sticks. But I can't really fault. Like they were 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Yeah, sure. Maybe a 30, 3rd and 30. Yeah, maybe you have them go 15 instead of just 10. But I think even Josiah Scott should know in that instance what his assignment is on a very simple thing. Mike D, what's up, Mike D? No more excuses. April, good morning, April. No more excuses. The playoffs are too damn close. Get ready to clinch overall, and let's get it done. Mike D, I couldn't be in more agreement with you. I could not agree with you more. Just get it done. I don't want to be sweating out week 18 to see whether or not you're going to get home field advantage in the playoffs. Just wrap it up. Sean, ooh, this stings. Unfortunately, Miles is showing why he isn't used as much as anyone wants. Please, Miles, prove me stupid and wrong. Fingers crossed. Sean calls mental stress. Professor, you just too early for me to be left. Well, good to have you. Softball question, Professor Dutch. How dare ye? Of course, it was bad. Both bad play calling and bad execution, but that should fall on the coach. This ain't the 1500s China. This isn't 1500s China. Laugh my ass off. That's a reference to The Art of War, which I did look up. I thought it was BC. I just didn't know how BC it was. And it turns out it's like OG BC. Okay. It's like 5th century BC, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which no, I have not read. I am not a big fan of books. I like watching documentaries. And there's a phenomenal History Channel documentary on The Art of War that I've watched many times. And that's how I have learned about it. When was Art of War? A Book of 5 Rings again? A Book of 5 Rings. Is that about the Cowboys? Are the Cowboys fans holding on? Book of 5 Rings. Written 1,000,000 years ago. Nothing's written 1,000,000 years ago. Anyway. 10,000 years ago. April, blink twice if Cilio is... What? Oh, it's that samurai history. Hold on one second. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Musashi? All right, yeah, I'll read that. Well, did I say read? I'll look it up on YouTube and watch a documentary about it. Ray, what's up, Ray? It's been a minute. When's Tucker going to come off the bench? You get absolutely nothing from him. I don't think that's far off. I don't know how they do it. I'm not sure what they do. Do you bring in Harrell and put him in the starting five? What is it you say you do here? But yeah, let me know what you'd like to do with that move. Sean, good morning. Mullets. What's up, Mullet? Fire Glenn. Ain't nobody leaving that hairline in April. That's hilarious. Multi-millionaire and tattoo hair. Good God, Sean. Check the scores. NBA. Nobody plays defense. It's a horrible product. Ray, you're not far off. It's exactly why my dad doesn't like watching the NBA. My dad will call me. Hey, what are you doing? I'm watching the Sixers. Why? I like Big Red Thesaurus better than Duck Rivers does. Mullet, you're not far off. Mullet. Luca celebrating like a 5-year-old winning a Wildwood stuffed animal was great. That is a mullet. That is a perfect way to put that. Boop. Mullet. Yes, college was AI peak years for me. Every game was a full-on watch party. Absolutely. Sean Gillespie. This might be, and I share this nerdism with you, Sean. But this might be the nerdiest thing I've ever read in the chat. Just imagine looking at the chat, people. For the people on the podcast, imagine looking at the chat and just seeing documentaries rule! Exclamation point. Nerd alert! And I'm there with you. Yes, I do believe in the documentaries rule, in fact. All right, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Folks, if you have time today, go watch highlights of last night's Mavericks-Knicks game. Luka Doncic is the first player in NBA history to have a 10 assist, 21 rebound, 60-point night. 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. Now, my first thought was, okay, yes, that's incredible. Second thought was, how many threes did he hit? He hit 2 threes. He was 21 of 31 from the field, 16 of 22 from the free throw line. And he had a 60-point night as the Mavericks handled their business against the Knicks 126-121. And the play that was it Mullet? Yeah, the Mullet referenced. Oh, baby. The play that Mullet referenced, celebrating like a 5-year-old winning a Wildwood stuffed animal, was Luka getting his own rebound after an intentionally missed free throw and putting it back for 2 to tie the game. Luka said after the game he thought he won. And when you see Luka, he shoots it off the rim, comes back, he deflects a little bit, he gets it, throws it up, tie ball game. He goes, I swear, and for the people on the podcast, I apologize, but he looks like this. He's like, like the gleeful, winning a stuffed animal on the Wildwood Boardwalk, definitely a great analogy for this. It was a kid waking up on Christmas morning and seeing the big president. The big president is exactly what they wanted. Like the look of joy on his face is amazing. 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. That's a nice night. No one else in the history of basketball has done that. That's the best. That's the best stat line. 60, 21, 10. Holy pots and pans, people. Holy pots and pans. 4 turnovers, though. Man, that guy sucks. I kid. Anyway, so make sure you guys check out the stat line for that. I mentioned it already. Sixers are back at it Friday night when they take on that. No, wait, what the hell? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow night. Excuse me. Tomorrow night. No, I was right. Jeez Louise, Farzetta. Friday night, 8:30 tip-off in New Orleans. They'll be taking on the Pelicans. Tyrese Maxey expected to come back. and play in that game. That's the show, everyone. Thanks for. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to do the thing with the thing and the guys on the ice. Flyers back at it tomorrow night when they take on the Sharks. They continue the road trip. I mentioned Disney on Ice yesterday. Lil Toots did go to Disney on Ice. She came back, and I said, Manuela, how was it, sweetheart? And she goes, Daddy, everyone was there. I said, who was there? And she goes, Elsa, Anna, Rapunzel. What's the one from Maribel, everyone. Mickey, Mickey, everyone was there. She was thrilled, man. She was thrilled in her little Rapunzel dress. It was awesome, man. It's so cute. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. You guys are fantastic as per usual. One person did hit me up in the comments about Seven Fish. Seven Fish went beautifully this year at Joey and Eleanor's. Went to Mom and Dad's for Seven Fish for Christmas Eve. Sorry, I didn't update you guys on this before. I did make the pan-seared stuffed calamari. If I do say so myself, came out wonderfully. I made the tuna crostini that I make every year. My dad really loves that. It was pretty damn good, I will say. And my brother did these lobster tails. Woo, baby. They were fantastic. They are absolutely fantastic. The one thing I did find funny, because every year I think there's one thing that's funny, and I think to myself, wow, just like the old country. This time around, it was coconut shrimp. I could picture my great-grandfather and my grandfather in Italy sitting down. By the way, no one does Seven Fish in Italy. It's a very Italian-American thing, but they still eat fish on Christmas Eve, but just not 7 of them. But I could just picture great-grandpa Luigi and grandpa Tommaso sitting down at the dinner table. Dove coconut shrimp? Va bene. Anyway, so I was like, this is a coconut shrimp in a Chinese duck sauce. Mwah! Bellissima. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. At least I get a laugh out of it. Produced by Jim Hyden. Did a wonderful job as a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My name is Mark Farzetta. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Nick Sirianni is supposed to address the media. We'll find out today who will get the first team reps at right tackle in place of Lane Johnson, and whether or not CD Deuce will be out there on the football field today and hopefully activated by Sunday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.